Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Under the Covers. I'm Charlie,
I'm Nick.
and we're back for episode 4. We just had a good old Christmas together.
Yeah, it was good. I agree.
Yeah, I mean it was a good Christmas.
You got some good merch.
I do. We've got some official Under the Covers merch. Got that for Christmas, thanks to Nick over here. He rocked it with that.
I gotta come clean. My son's got a YouTube channel, and I told him that we would sell more merch by the end of 2024 than him and his stupid friends. I'm just kidding. They're great friends. Just I figure we have better merch.
I think we can. We've got some stickers. We've got some coasters.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking good. We shirts in all sorts of colors.
UTC cock rings.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we've got one. It's used. Just kidding.
Yeah. I won't stand up. I'm short enough for the camera to not see that. So. Oh goodness gracious! So, did you have a good Christmas, Nick?
I had a great Christmas. The Christmas was great getting over here because if you guys can't tell, we're over at Charlie's house. It was sort of an adventure getting here. We had to cut through Canada, and I found out that Canada has a holiday called Boxing Day because when our tire,
Put up your dukes.
yeah, when our tire blew out on our car, we realized that there was nowhere to get a tire repaired because all the people who not box, all the people who deliver stuff and do any sort of manual labor, they were like they had the day off, which is a cool holiday. That's a great idea.
Yeah, right after Christmas, the day after Christmas, they celebrate it. I think it might be a British holiday that is celebrated in multiple countries.
Really?
Yeah, because the Brits, they colonized Canada, and that's why they have the king and queen and whatnot. I believe. I don't know. I don't know anything. I know a little bit about politics, but I believe the old London town went over. That's why there's London, Canada,
Yeah.
right? It's got to be.
I'll say this: the tow truck driver said I was a working man, which I thought he was a rush.
Did you not look at your hands? I'm sorry.
No,
I
actually,
interrupted you.
no, it's funny. After I shook his hand, he said, "You're a working man." I thought he thought maybe I was a hooker, but no, actually, he was the hooker. But no, he thought I had a good handshake, and I was telling him that we have a podcast, and he said that doesn't help your cause, and I was like, okay, well, this isn't going anywhere quick. Can we just get the car done and be done with this?
Yeah. Well, you made it. I'm happy about that.
Made it.
You're all safe. Nobody got hurt.
Nobody got hurt.
You got some Tim Hortons. That's a good Canada experience right there.
That was.
Ah, man, I hope you all enjoyed our Christmas episode, though. Backdoor Santa.
I got some good feedback on that one.
Yeah, I did too.
And then I had to listen, or I had to watch Die Hard after that because Christmas in Hollis was in that movie pretty prominently. And Scott, my son, who's I don't know, he's between the ages of 12 and 16, was like really wanting to watch the movie, and it's a hell of a movie. It holds up.
It does. It's a great movie. But I did want to bring up one thing from our Christmas episode.
Oh, geez.
So a buddy of mine, Drew, was listening to the episode, and he sends me a text message, and he was like, by the way, a snake eating its own tail is called an Ouroboros. I think that's how to pronounce it. I had to look it up because I couldn't remember talking about that.
Yeah,
actually,
I'm pretty stumped.
But we did talk about it, so I found the part, and so like it was. I think it's from Greek mythology, and it's like a snake or a dragon eating its own tail, which led me down a little rabbit hole, and I did find that Aaron Rodgers got a brand new tattoo of a dragon eating its own tail. And I know Nick's a big Aaron Rodgers fan, so he might get a kick out of that.
Why did you ruin this podcast with Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, are we done now?
I don't know why we did
Did
this.
I just bring the mood down?
There's nothing that can ruin a podcast more than Aaron Rodgers coming in and doing whatever he does. I just don't like Aaron Rodgers. Fuck Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I apologize for hurting your feelings there.
I'm sure there's a portion of Wisconsin that thinks Aaron Rodgers is like the second coming of Christ, but gosh, what a weirdo.
You know, he is what he is. You know who didn't sponsor us this week?
Travis Kelce.
Yes. Because we're done talking about that other man.
Oh, thank goodness.
Who
did
but we do have a sponsor this week.
Gosh, dang. Thank goodness we're making ends meet.
Yeah.
Like eating our own tail.
So we haven't talked about our song yet, which is kind of related to our sponsor. So today we are going to talk about.
We did talk about cock rings. I mean, that's kind of.
We did. Good point. Good point. I apologize. Some of you may have noticed Michael Jackson's Thriller up there. Today we will be talking about the amazing song "Beat It" from the album Thriller, one of the greatest selling albums of all time, if not
the highest selling album of all time.
Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, I think people are getting the gist here that the record is right here on my screen, and on your screen it's over there. So we're right next to each other, and it's really weird because we're trying to look at our own screens. But I also want to look at him, but I've got a horrible, gigantic head, and so I don't like to look that way.
Yeah, it's hard for me not to look. I've been looking, and I'm sure it's weird, but we're next to each other. Something weird's going on with my computer. So, anyways, technical difficulties. 4th episode. We've had technical difficulties every episode so far. We might continue that for a while.
I think that's part of our shtick.
Yeah, but we're still getting the sponsors rolling in.
There you go. Let's do sponsors.
It doesn't matter. So this week is sponsored by the Moonwalk Whisk. Are you tired of the same old boring kitchen routine? Well, it's time to spice things up. Introducing the Moonwalk Whisk, the kitchen tool that lets you beat it just like the king of pop. Order now, and we'll throw in a free sequined oven mitt. The Moonwalk Whisk. Get ready to beat it in the kitchen.
Do you only get one sequined?
Yes, only one sequined oven mitt.
That would be a apropos.
Yeah.
That's the second time we've used that in this podcast, by the way.
I do have to say that Santa's Secret Sleigh Ride Kit from the last sponsor wanted to sponsor this one as well, but I was like, that fruit's too low hanging. We keep it classy here, so just beat it in the kitchen.
Oh my gosh!
Call 1-800-BEAT-IT.
Wow. So we charge a premium to sponsor on this podcast, and as you can see, we get the these are not QVC esque sponsors. These are much higher end than that. If you follow me on social media, you can see that Temu has decided to put me in some sort of algorithm of kinky weird shit.
Oh, I get the weird stuff too from them. Don't worry. I think it's because of I think we go on incognito mode and think that nobody tracks it, and
I think Temu does.
Maybe Temu tracks.
Temu's like, oh yeah, they're on incognito mode. So this is episode 4 or 5. What is it?
Episode 4.
4.
Yeah.
So you know what we've had? I gotta say we've had some really good feedback from everybody. We appreciate it. So if you know us personally, call us up. If you don't know us personally, leave comments wherever you can leave comments, or put it in the mail. I'm sure we'll get it at some time. You can just put in Undercovers Podcast and USA.com. USA.com. Put it on the envelope, and I'm sure it'll get to us. But the way this works is we listen to an original song, or the song that was made popular, or a song that was made popular by an artist. We talk about it, and then we listen to it, and we say what we like and we don't like. And then we listen to a cover version of the same song and compare and contrast. And at the end there, we say, what do we like, what do we don't like, and then vote for which one was our favorite.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I gotta say, it's a pretty balanced run so far. Charlie, you brought up last time that we should probably start tallying, which way it goes. I
think I'm trying to think. So the first one, I think I did cover.
Yeah.
Joe
Cover. Yeah,
Cocker's.
cover.
Second was In Bloom. I did cover.
Yep.
Third was Backdoor Santa, and I picked original. So
And I picked Jet on a last minute end around
yeah,
because I felt like rock and roll was where I wanted to be, not that funk soul thing. So so today we got Michael Jackson's "Beat It," King of Pop, kind of a
King
banger.
of Pop, kind of a banger. I mean, yeah, this one beats it for sure. Yeah, what a song.
you know, it's funny. Quincy Jones, when I started researching the song, he
Hmm.
had told Michael, me and Michael are really close. We're not Mike. We're very formal here.
Yeah, they're very formal.
oh, oh, geez, we
David
got
Grohl, David Grohl, David
something coming up
Grohl,
here.
David
Do we
Grohl,
have
David Grohl.
technical
I'm
difficulties?
gonna
Or
go
is,
David.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna
this
go
is
David.
this is you saving David Grohl about 30 times. Nick likes to keep it formal here, so Nicholas, I mean, likes to keep it formal.
so when Mr. Quincy Jones said, "Hey, let's make this song," I guess it was supposed to be like Michael's interpretation of a pure rock song, and it does it right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he totally takes that pop R&B and blends it into the new genre of rock, like new for him. Like he didn't invent rock, obviously, but
He didn't. Are you kidding me? God damn.
but no, I mean this takes his Michael Jackson's music and introduces it to a whole new group of people who
Oh yeah,
probably would have never said, "Yeah, I listen to Michael Jackson." So
yeah.
yeah, I think that's a great description with Quincy. Like, and that's the brilliance of Quincy Jones. Like, he worked with so many people and did so many great things.
I gotta say, I'm not too versed on Quincy Jones. I mean, I don't know who else he really worked with other than Michael Jackson. Like I thought that was his homeboy.
Oh, well, he did a lot with Michael,
Yeah,
but he worked with Old Blue Eyes,
really.
Frank Sinatra.
Oh, I was thinking I didn't know who Old Blue Eyes was, but
Uh,
then when you said Frank Sinatra, I was like, oh, putting those two parts together.
I think that was Old Blue Eyes. I
Yeah,
just
I think so.
pulled that out of the old brain hole here. Ray Charles,
Nice.
Aretha Franklin,
Respect.
and Shaka Khan.
Hmm.
Everybody Shaka Khan. He also did a lot of film work, like
I knew he did film work.
yeah. So he's done a lot of soundtracks, and that whole film work kind of brings it back. He did the Wiz,
Oh yeah,
the with Diana Ross and Michael Jackson. Like that's how. So yeah, he's done a lot of film work, but yeah, the Wiz was just kind of a different culture's version on the Wizard of Oz.
which is cool.
Yeah,
I
very
remember
cool.
watching it. It was like you know what? It was kind of like Backdoor Santa, right? It was you had this rock and roll version, which is the normal version of the Wizard of Oz, and then you had this like soulful version
Yeah,
of which is the Wiz.
yeah.
That was good. So yeah, when we started talking about doing this song, um, I had seen Michael Jackson way back in the day, which is crazy.
Was he dangling you from a balcony
No,
as a
not at that point.
baby?
It was
No.
it was it was much earlier. It was actually on the Victory Tour. I saw him on August 18th, 1984. I was 6 years
You
old.
were old.
I was 6.
Okay.
I was born in
6.
I was 6 years old.
Oh man.
And here's how I know this is my mom used to have these Pepsi cans that had the Victory Tour with all the Jackson 5 signatures on it, and it was a big prized possession in our family because that's what we had.
Oh, it was literally there.
It was like, well, no, they were
oh,
they were
like
just
the
like screwed right on
commemorative
it. Yeah,
cans
they're
or whatever.
commemorative.
Okay.
And back, as we would always talk about it, she would always talk about the time we went and saw Michael Jackson. And Pepsi, my uncle used to work for Pepsi, and we got us tickets to go see him at the Silverdome, the Detroit Silverdome.
Go Lions.
And we had floor seats. We were probably 20 rows back, maybe in my memory. I remember 3 things about the show. I remember the very beginning, which was these like almost like Muppet animals. It was weird. Like, I know, trust me, I'm not smoking a Jiba tonight and just putting those.
Michael Jackson's a furry.
I
It's
remember
all right.
I remember Beat It, and I remember the end where it was just sort of this melody with Jermaine and this whole thing. That was all I remember. But Beat It was freaking awesome. It was and like I said, it was probably the first memory of a concert I've ever had in my life. So I mean,
That's awesome.
I mean,
I mean, to go to a concert that young,
yeah,
but then I mean,
and
that's gotta imprint on you.
yeah,
You
and
know?
so on YouTube, if you look up the Victory Tour, you can see the concert they did in Toronto just a few days or before or after the show that I was happened to be at. Um, and I tell you, man, it holds up, man.
Nice, nice.
Um, yeah, so it was
My
cool.
my first concert experience that I remember was that I really truly remember because I know I went to like in town here. We used to have festivals and whatnot, but my dad took me to Valdu Lakes. It was an outdoor music festival here, or what's the word I'm looking for?
No,
Amphitheater,
oh,
whatever.
I was thinking it was Circle Jerk, but whatever.
No, it was Vince Neil, Warrant, and Slaughter, and
Oh, I
I
like
was I think I
Slaughter.
was like 15, and the lead singer from Warrant came out in the crowd and like gave me a high five, and I was like, yeah, I'm a rock and roll fan forever. And some dude tried to pass me a joint, which and my dad was at the bathroom, and I thought it was a cigarette, and I was like, Dad, this guy's trying to give me a cigarette, and he's like, nice. I didn't take it, but no, that's so you have a. Yeah, Warrant Slaughter and Vince Neil when he was broken up from Motley Crue. Not as cool as Michael Jackson.
Now, my mom swears that behind us at this concert, like literally in the seats right behind us, was Ted Nugent, and I happen to know him and know how to talk to. I have not broached that subject with him yet to say, hey, did you sit behind us on August 18th, 1984 at the
Hey,
Silverdome?
yeah,
And
you're not like, hey, Uncle Ted, did you check out my mom's ass?
yeah, I'm sure.
Uh,
He gave her the Wango Tango.
oh yeah, so concert experiences, awesome.
So Beat It. We're bringing it
Yeah,
back to Beat It. Well,
yeah.
we never really got too far off the trail here,
No, we
did
didn't.
we?
We didn't. Um, Beat It was a great like you said, Quincy Jones produced it. He did a lot with it. Um, the guitar solo in it. We definitely are
You got it.
obviously going to talk about this. I did hear that the person who played the guitar solo did it as a favor to Quincy Jones. Like he
Yes,
wasn't even necessarily going to get credited for it or paid for it. It was just kind of like, hey, we need this rock and roll, vibe to this song that Michael's doing, and we're buds.
he didn't get paid for it.
No, so he
No,
didn't get paid for it.
no.
Okay,
He's gone down on record and said I did it as a favor and as a friend.
okay.
And Quincy Jones and Michael brought it to you know who it is. So
Yeah,
go ahead and say
yeah.
it. Fuck
I
it.
mean, Eddie Van Halen.
EVH.
Rest in peace.
Oh my gosh.
Uh, from Van Halen fame. Yeah, what an amazing guitarist. But to do this, to jump genres and just yeah, and then to play such a face melting solo in a song like this, like we talked about earlier, like it just kind of helped Michael Jackson mesh a bunch of different styles together
Yeah.
and basically bring a bunch of different audiences into his music.
There's a lot to unpack here. So I listened to the audiobook by Ted Templeton, who basically produced all the Van Halen records, the first three or four or whatever it was, until basically Hagar came in, and he was talking about how a young Eddie Van Halen, he just loved to play, and obviously by this time Van Halen was huge. They didn't, they were making plenty of money, but he just said that he just wanted his he just wanted to be a part of this stuff, and that's why Eddie Van Halen was kind of wired for all these years, was to just be a part of rock and roll and
Mm.
sort of rock and roll history as an entity.
He just wanted to leave his mark
Yeah,
on
and
whatever he could.
it was less about money. It was more about just being a progressing, rock and roll forward. So
Hmm.
it was really cool to hear the whole backstory of it, guys. This story is documented every way to Sunday. If you just type it into Google, you'll see a lot of different viewpoints on this. But one of the things, as we were reading, as I was reading through this, that I never knew, and when you record a song, typically the guitar solos kind of come in at the end. They're like the embellishment. And in this instance, Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson had already recorded like a rough demo of this song,
Hmm.
which is basically the whole structure of the song. It was kind of like how everything's going to work, and they brought it to Eddie Van Halen and said, "We want you to do the solo here." And so he recorded the solo when the song was still pretty rough, and actually gave him feedback on like how they could arrange the song. The song is in a lot of flat keys, and when Eddie Van Halen recorded the solo, it's in C, I think C major, so they had to. He changed the key of the entire song, but then realized and told them how they could get back to the flat side of this. And so he was a major composer and a major contributor to the entire structure of the song.
Nice.
And this was done before all the other stuff you hear in the song was done. It was like the rough of the song. Eddie Van Halen recorded the solo first, and then they restructured the song, which is crazy. That honestly, I can't think of another time, and maybe you guys know, and you could put in comments or whatever, of a time when the guitar solo came first.
Yeah.
It just never happens.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I did read that it came first, the guitar solo, but yeah, I didn't realize it had such an effect on the song. So
Oh yeah,
that's. I mean, obviously it had an effect on the song, but the actually recording session
oh
of the
yeah,
song.
oh yeah.
So that's cool. I didn't realize that.
So then the way this even unpacks even further, which is I think again kind of brings it full circle, was they knew they needed a better rhythm section. They needed more rock and roll. They needed more, guitar into this. So Quincy Jones phoned up, basically the guys from Toto.
Ah, yes,
Yeah,
Toto.
specifically Steve Lukather. I always want to say Steve Lucifer, like because that would be cooler. But by the way, that guy looks like Cruella Deville. And I've never been a big fan of Toto, but Steve Lukather and Jeff and Steve Picaro were basically the founders of Toto, and they were some of the best session musicians that you'd ever could find. And
So
bass,
what do you got there? You got the bass,
you get the bass.
guitar, and the drummer,
Yep.
right?
So Steve
Okay.
would have been Steve Lukather would have been the guitarist. Uh, Jeff, I think, is the drummer, and Steve is more of a keyboard synthesizer guy. Um, but Steve Lukather, they told him like, "Hey, dude, we need you to record the rhythm guitars of this song." So what did dude? You already have Eddie Van Halen's kick-ass guitar solo in there. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna bring in these huge Marshall amps. You're gonna play the most heavy sounding riff you can play, which is the riff you hear.
Hmm.
But the thing is he sent it back to Quincy Jones, and Quincy Jones was like, dude, that's way too heavy. You need to like scale it back. I mean, we're not trying to sound like, Anthrax or something like this here. So anyway, he actually re-recorded it on I think some Princeton Fender Princeton amps, which is so he dialed it back quite a bit, and that's what you hear on the actual recording is the dialed back guitars, a Jeff Porcaro drum track that follows a programmed like synthesizer track, and then Steve Porcaro's rhythm keyboards, which is kind of cool. If you right at the very beginning of the song, you can kind of hear where the program sound and the real sound kind of all come together.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I do have some fun stuff and some notes about the very beginning of the song that I do want to bring up, but should we listen to it real quick and then we can?
Let's listen to it.
Because I mean, we've talked about it for a bit. We've gotten a little taste of what you're getting into. If you haven't heard the song,
And nobody
you're either three or you've lived under a rock. I don't know. Um,
and nobody even knows who we're comparing this to yet.
no, we have not.
We have not even revealed
Oh yeah.
who the cover version of it. I mean, who is gonna cover a song that has 1 billion listens on Spotify? I mean,
Billions with a B.
A B.
B is
1 billion,
billion.
16,895,931 listens. I mean, on Spotify.
Like, and Spotify has not been around for
No.
a long time. I mean, it's been around for a while, but not a billion times long. That blew my mind when I saw that.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it is awesome.
So after all our listeners listen to it, it might go up to 2 billion.
2 billion because we got so many listeners, and we got those. Who's our sponsor tonight? The Whippet,
the Moonwalk Whisk.
Oh yeah,
so you can beat it in the kitchen.
You'll beat it in the kitchen trick.
So let's give this song a listen. We're gonna listen again. Like I said, we can't play it. We don't have the rights, but we will put a link in the description. We're getting our YouTube channel all set up. I know I've said I put stuff there before, but we'll get that taken care of. So
let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go, and we'll come back in a few.
By the way, I wish I could listen to my earphone. This may affect.
Still can.
This may affect my.
Because we can cut all this out.
Yeah. We should just say, just be like, let it go. Ready?
No, let me open this beer first. That's part of our charm, right?
That's part of our charm. Wow.
Oh, 4 minutes and 18 seconds of pure joy.
I tell you, you know what? The king of pop, right? I mean, he and they, it's programmed backing track, basically, right? Like, I mean, that's the beat, but the soul and the ad-lib vocals, that's the thing. So before we did this, I said, hey, I wanted to listen to the song one more time through my headphones before I made my pick, because I've been listening to the car and in earbuds and everything, and I'm so grateful I did, because you again, if you hear that, all the or the and
there's so much, and I don't think that all of it's Michael Jackson either.
Like, no,
in the background, like there's so many different little vocal ticks in the background, or whatever you call it, but.
Now, did you notice? And I had read this in one instance, like in one piece of little trivia, is that Eddie Van Halen, right before his guitar solo, like it starts going into this kind of like getting down into this part, the solos, and you hear some knocks, like bam, 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 and there's a couple rumors on what that is. Is it Eddie Van Halen knocking on his guitar to incite feedback, which is basically just getting the strings to sing?
Mm-hmm.
I read another part where it was somebody actually, because he was so loud in his studio, that somebody was trying to come in and say, hey, we're loud enough. So they knocked on the door. And then third, I heard it was one of his kids actually hitting something in the studio that it just made it on the recording. So nobody knows really what the three knocks are, or the dung, dung, dung. But next time you listen to the song, right before the guitar solo, you'll hear these knocks. And in headphones, you can hear them loud as day. I mean, it's right where his guitar comes in.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love the way the song starts. And I didn't realize. So I did, obviously doing a little research on the song, but I love how the song starts, and it's sounds like kind of like bells, like dinging.
Yeah.
and it kind of fits with the whole thriller theme. But I did read that, and I have to look here. It was a synclavier, um, digital synthesizer, and so that's what those. So there's 7 notes played at the very beginning of the song, and what really I thought was really interesting was those 7 notes were taken exactly from an demo LP released from the company that made that synthesizer
Real.
from like a year before.
Wow.
Like they got the rights to do it and everything, and I think there might have been some legal stuff,
It's probably
during.
Flugelhorn Inc., right?
Well, I did know this is the other note. I love that you wrote that too, because I literally have here in bold in my notes, no flugelhorns either. So no flugelhorns on this song. So I love that you brought that up. But the whole the intro was, and I found the YouTube video, and it's from like this 27-minute long video of an intro to this musical instrument.
Wow.
And at one point in the video, they do those 7 notes, and they take those 7 notes, and that's the intro to this song.
That's interesting. That's awesome to know. That's awesome.
It's not like a knock in any way of anybody who produced the song
No.
or played on the song. I think because it fits perfectly in the song.
There's so many things. I mean, when you listen to it closely, again, I encourage everybody to get a great set of over-the-ear headphones and plug them in, not through Bluetooth, because even now, I mean, just the drums aren't just the same drums every single pattern. They seem to change every single time, and
because I think they were played live.
Yeah,
like all these instruments were live.
It's awesome to see how all those sounds are intertwined, and it's crazy for a song being, what 40 years old now or whatever.
Yeah, I think 40. Like you said, 83. I think it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see the dynamics that they pull into that song. That's one of the things about this song is it's a loud, in your face song. It's forward, but it also has a lot of dynamics and nuance to it that you just, I mean, you draw to it. It doesn't age. It doesn't sound like it's 40 years old for sure.
Not at all. It also had a great video. We should touch on that a little bit. I mean, the moonwalk in there. That's probably
was the moonwalk in there.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know
and
that.
There was dance battles. I mean, that's probably why the Moonwalk Whisk wanted to advertise on this episode specifically.
The dance battle was, I mean, that's an epic moment in music history. I mean, and him walking through the pool hall, like, just he just, gosh dang, every single thing he did in that movie or that video was like, yeah, this is rock and roll.
Yeah.
And now, did he have the red jacket to this one with all the zippers all over it? Was that him, or was that during Thriller?
I think it might have been in both.
Really?
I haven't. Gosh, I meant to watch the video again today because I wanted to watch the video, Michael Jackson video, and then the cover song we will do. I wanted to watch that video, and I just didn't get a chance to watch it today. I've definitely seen the video for Beat It. It's been a while, but I've never seen the cover versions video.
Yeah. Well, the cover. I mean, are we ready to talk about this cover version or what?
I think so. I mean, yeah, we're 40 minutes in.
This is getting in a little uncharted territory for a guy like me. Now, I know you're a little younger than me. You were into emo shit like this.
Yeah.
Oh, and I mean that nicely.
I'm an 80s child. You're what, a 70s?
I'm 70s.
By 1 year. Yeah.
So Fall Out Boy
covered this song.
Holy crap. So, you're on tour. You're Fall Out Boy. You've got a bunch of people wearing mascara, and you're
also wearing mascara.
You're also wearing mascara, and you're like, hey, let's do a sound check. And somebody plays a little riff, do 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 do, and then y'all start like harping in on this, and then you're like, maybe this is what we should do.
Yeah, maybe we should
We should cover this song.
It's kind of like what happened when we're like, hey, we talk a lot and we like music, but why not let other people listen to us talk about music?
I mean,
Are we the Fallout Boy of podcasts?
we
No,
probably are. We probably are the Fallout Boy. But no, I mean, people look at pop punk. Is that what pop? Is it punk pop?
Pop, punk, rock.
How about whatever it is?
Yeah.
I mean, and saying, hey, or because this genre of music, and some people will call it emo. Some people, there's a lot of ways to put Fall Out Boy, right? And I used to kind of make fun of it, but like the kings of to me of this type of genre is Green Day, and I gotta say I'd pay a pretty penny to go see Green Day right now.
Yeah. I mean, emo. Like, there's just so many categories like that. There's so many different styles of music that can fall into any certain category. I would say they're more upbeat, not upbeat necessarily, but like more punky.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Than just straight up like I'm sad. But no, same with
emo
same
is
with Green Day. I don't know what I'm talking about, guys. Why are you listening to me? Keep listening, please.
See, yeah, I mean, emo to me feels sad all the time. Like The Cure feels emo, but pop punk feels like these guys, and in like a Green Day or a Blink-182 or honestly, isn't that like kind of the trifecta of this genre? I mean, those three, they're all about the same time, right? Maybe
I think Fall Out Boy is a little later.
later.
Like, because I'm definitely more familiar with Green Day and Blink-182 than.
But we're
Fall
old
Out
as
Boy.
fuck. I mean, it's.
But that's so maybe Green Day was the Godfather.
Yeah.
What's their faces? Blink-182, came up after that, and then Fall Out Boy.
And then, is there anybody nowadays that's kind of like this pop punk?
Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah.
They're
Machine Gun Kelly.
Is he like that? I've never listened to Machine Gun Kelly.
Well, I met him.
I know you and him hang out at magic shows.
We hang out at. Oh, gosh dang.
Oh,
golly
gee. Goodness. Fall Out Boy.
So do you have anything? You know more about Fall Out Boy than I do, probably.
Right? I don't.
You don't.
I know they recorded this song with Jonathan Mayer.
Okay, so now we're getting into stuff to talk about here. I don't. So let's take Fall Out Boy and pop punk and put it over here because there's a lot of pop punk whatever that I like and don't like. Okay, and then let's go to the king of shit you like or don't like, and it's John Mayer.
Yeah.
Like when I first heard John Mayer, I was like, I hate this guy. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like,
wait, we're gonna get canceled. You just copied one of his songs out.
I sung it note for note.
Oh yes,
obviously,
yeah, we'll cut that out.
I got the voice of a bird. Then he does John Mayer Trio, which
Pino Palladino.
Yeah, and Steve Jordan.
Yeah, it was a good old.
I'm rock hard on that whole album, like every single little bit.
A little jazzy bluesy trio there.
Then he does like this battle study thing and ruins cover songs, pretty much. Then he goes on tour with the Grateful Dead, which I'm like, well, this is going to be a disaster.
I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah. And in between all this, whatever he decides to do per week, he does the guitar solo for Beat It and starts a podcast on watch collecting.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to bring that up because I thought you said he like...
I've never wanted to punch my computer screen more than
Rolex
listening to John.
Kind of watches, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched a 45-minute episode of John Mayer and Ed Sheeran talking about their watch collections as if the watches were personal midgets that they own, and I wanted to. I not only did I
could say the word that M word, but
Gidgets.
Yeah.
And I wanted to punch my computer screen. I wanted to punch Gidgets. I never wanted to watch. I never wanted to see an Oompa Loompa ever again in my life. And
then you went to Willy Wonka the other day with your mom.
Yeah, and I didn't know that was a musical, by the way.
Oh, was it? Was it good?
It was a musical.
I like musicals.
John Mayer wasn't in it.
I've got the Grease soundtrack downstairs on vinyl. We can listen to it later. Okay.
So anyway, let's bring this back. First of all, John Mayer, he's a love-hate kind of guy. And I will say this: if you listen to the song "Beat It" and you listen to Eddie Van Halen or any Van Halen song ever written, you would probably sit there and think, how does John Mayer sound in this song? And it's interesting.
Yeah, he went with his watch direction.
I figured when I first saw that it was Beat It, Fall Out Boy in parentheses featuring John Mayer, I thought this was like a Napster deal, like where somebody put in the wrong information. And then I'd listen to the song and I'm like, no, that's not John Mayer. Then when we started doing this thing and like researching it, I was like, holy shitballs, this is really John Mayer.
It's Jonathan Mayer.
Jonathan Mayer.
Yeah, he played on it. I heard they I think I read that they like kind of debuted it live and then recorded it because it got lots of applause.
This is one of those things where, again, I'm just trying to put myself in different people's shoes and being like, hey, ring, ring, ring. Hello, this is John Mayer talking about my watches. Hey, this is Fall Out Boy. Hey, Fall Out Boy, how you doing? Hey, I've got a whiz-bang idea. Gee golly, you ever heard the song Beat It? And he's probably like, no. And he's like, well,
but I'm using my whisk in the kitchen right now.
Yeah, can I use my whisk or chicken biscuit or whatever you got going on there? And being like, can you play the guitar solo like Eddie Van Halen? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty good at Jerry Garcia. And he's like, I'll be right down. Like honestly, there's nothing in that conversation that could make that make sense.
Yeah.
And I know I made it weird there, and I know I made everybody feel uncomfortable, but what's happening there? There has to be more to the story. I'm gonna call up Jonathan Mayer, because we're on long name terms.
Yeah, you're not buddies yet.
Yeah.
No, I mean maybe Ted Nugent might have a contact for you.
I would love it if Ted Nugent had a contact with John Mayer and Mr. Fall Out Boy.
Should we listen to the Fall Out Boy?
We need to. This is a service to everybody. You need to listen to Fall Out Boy's cover of Beat It. It's worth your time.
Yes. Listen to it. I'm gonna push this button.
Let her rip.
It's like, what the fuck touched my butt?
Then we're gonna push another button, and we're gonna listen to the song in our headphones. I hope you all enjoy it. I believe it's about 30 seconds shorter than the original, so you're welcome.
Be back soon. Us on all that shit. You're like, no, I'm leaving that.
No, it's still recording. So good to cut it or just leave it.
Wow.
Still a good song.
97 million people thought that.
Yeah.
I mean, well, let me see. 97 million people heard that song, because that's how many people listen to the Spotify version of that song. You know what? I gotta say, it's a hell of a version.
Yeah.
Last night on the way home from a Christmas party, my family was all in the car. We listened to both of them side by side, and you know what? It was I think the kids. So I have kids that are 14 and younger, and they thought that song felt fuller. More deep,
yeah,
and that was pretty engaging, and it's kind of crazy. John Mayer does a good job.
He does. He went for it, and I think he succeeded. I mean that guitar solo that he plays in that, it is in your face. It is just ripping, roaring. He turned it up to 11.
I love that. We should watch that tonight, by the way. You know, it's it's an homage to the original,
Mm-hmm.
the guitar solo and the song itself. But it's not trying to be exact. It's trying to give a tribute to it.
Yeah.
And that guitar solo, I think, was probably the not personification, but really emblematic. It was
Emblematic.
emblematic. There you go. You're the word guy. Of that idea. It was put it balls to the wall. There were notes, there were parts where you're like, "Yep, I remember that part of the solo," but it also wasn't the finger tap, the thing where it's just kind of doing the same thing that Eddie Van Halen does, only like Eddie Van Halen can do. So,
Mm-hmm. And that's what we like to do here on our podcast is, pick a cover that isn't just here's the same song,
yeah,
just sung by a different person and played by a different guitarist. We want somebody who's gonna, make it their own, make it a tribute, kind of like very similar to In Bloom
yeah,
with Sturgill Simpson. I mean, this, I guess, maybe it's a bad comparison because they didn't change it so much, but they made it their own. Like Fall Out Boy, like you can tell it's like the punk version of Beat It.
yeah. And if you listen to like pop punk in a whole, it's not so different from what the Beatles were doing back then because they were trying to put, you know, heavy riffs and things over catchy, good lyrics over great studio production. And this song is that. The Fall Out Boy did the exact same thing. They modernized Beat It for today's audience and a younger generation. And I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah.
And to go and say, you know what, we're gonna go and take what is likely one of the greatest, most listened to songs of all time, and not only sit there and say, hey guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do it as an homage, uh, but we're also going to go get a guest guitarist, just like Michael Jackson did,
exactly,
and do it in the spirit. Jeez, I can't, honestly, I want to fault them because I want to make fun of emo punk and all this stuff, but I can't.
no,
And the output is fucking amazing.
no, and to your point, they're just introducing Michael Jackson to a whole new generation. Like,
Absolutely.
obviously, Michael Jackson is multi generational. Everybody's heard of him, but maybe there are some people who just, oh yeah, I know who Michael Jackson is, King of Pop, blah blah blah. I never listened to him, but they hear this song and they're like, oh, maybe I will go check his version out, and
Yeah.
they just kind of, fall into what
Fall Out Boy.
fall out of what he's done. Yeah.
The last thing I'll kind of say on this before we kind of get to the culmination here is that both of these artists in my life I've sort of made fun of. There was times in my life when I was like, "You're stupid if you like Michael Jackson. You're kind of, I mean, how could you like Michael Jackson? I mean, he's kind of a weirdo, whatever." And even Fall Out Boy, I've looked at people and been like, "Yeah, you're wearing the mascara. You got the, you're a skater. That's, I mean, how could you even like that music?" But now that I'm getting older and this music starts to age and everything else, and maybe it's just me, having my own kids and starting to understand the way younger generations or people look at stuff, that I start to accept it more and start to more, empathize with what they're going through. And I don't say, that Fall Out Boy was needed empathy about some sort of life crisis or anything, but it just made me appreciate that kind of music, and it actually made me, while we were researching this, opened me up to a band that I hadn't really looked at, and even a genre that I hadn't really looked at very much. So it's been great, and I'm hoping everybody else does kind of the same. Is whether you love Fall Out Boy and haven't listened to Michael Jackson, listen to his catalog, listen to those albums, and then if you love Michael Jackson or the stuff that we typically gravitate to, listen to some of this newer stuff, because it's stuff that I didn't see, and that's why we do this, and that's why you and I have wanted to put this podcast on, because it opens our ears and our minds to new things and new viewpoints, and it's cool. And I think that's what could be really cool about this podcast.
Yeah.
So
And I want to reiterate what Nick said here. Like, yeah, this is all about, you know, discovering new music, like enjoying the stuff that we know and are comfortable with, but then maybe broadening our horizons. I definitely went through a phase, probably, you know, through my late teens, early 20s, where I was just like, nope, I listen to this. I don't listen to whatever. And I missed out on a lot of good stuff. You know, I'm listening to a lot more now, and this podcast is definitely going to introduce me to more things and more genres that you know, I never maybe thought to listen to or whatever. But yeah, it's we want you to go through this experience with us and enjoy it, and maybe find some new things that you thought you hated, but it's pretty good.
yeah,
So
absolutely. So
yeah, sorry we got a little
I'm
deep
tearing
there.
I'm tearing up over here.
Little deep there before we even told our favorites here.
So I'll go first here if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think I went first last time.
Yeah, and so Michael Jackson's obviously he wrote it, and that's one of the things I lead off with about every week when I say the original. The dynamics are amazing. The ad lib scat vocals are amazing, and I tell you, it's just it makes the song holistic. It does fade out to the end, which I never like fade outs. So, but Fall Out Boy fade outs, just the same, or fades out just the same. Fall Out Boy did a great job at compressing the really cool shit in the middle. They make it very loud and full in the middle. They don't have the dynamics, but they hit it hard. They push their own limits, I think, and listen to the rest of their catalogs and listen to the other things they do. I think they were like, you know what, let's push this to the edge that we got. John Mayer does a hell of a job expanding what he is. He's a chameleon, obviously a music, Berkeley music guy himself. And but when it's all said and done, when it starts to get so tight, I got to put it to the original and say, geez, that it's hard to just beat the king of pop and a billion listens. That's where I got to put my vote. But it's a lot closer than I ever thought it would be when I said, hey, let's do Fall Out Boy. So
Nice. My answer is definitely not going to be as technical and in depth as Nick's. He has a lot more knowledge than I do as far as production and all that jazz. But both versions are great. So we start off again, Michael Jackson's version. I keep falling back to that intro with that 7-note start. I think it's just epic. It's iconic. Everybody knows it. The Michael Jackson's vocals, and then all the extra vocal nuances, throughout the song, that he does throughout his whole catalog, basically. But the production of it with Quincy Jones, it's an amazing song. Eddie Van Halen's guitar solo, Fall Out Boy, excellent version. I enjoy listening to it. I'll listen to it many times after this. I won't forget about it just because this episode is done. It was a great version. They did, push their limits, put themselves out there. How ballsy do you have to be to say you're going to cover a Michael Jackson song? They all did a great job. John Mayer did amazing. It's fun to listen to. It is refreshing version because it's a little different. I am going with the original on this one because you can't beat it.
You can't beat it. Beat it. That's kind of weird. That's the weirdest part of the song. When he starts doing that.
I hope you have your headphones in when you hear that. No, I mean, yeah, it's hard. I don't think I was as close as Nick. I did go in thinking I would pick Michael Jackson's version. Again, I was more familiar with it. Just but listening, I was a little, I did give a lot more respect to the Fall Out version.
So through this process, so remember in Bloom, I felt like I heard that song so many times on Nirvana's side that I never got anything out of it.
Familiar, yeah.
Right? This song has been around twice as long, and I got more out of it listening to it in headphones and in different settings to really listen to it, that I got more out of it than I ever thought I could ever notice,
Yeah, so,
and again, if I'm gonna tell the people that are listening to this podcast and who we've talked to, that get different devices to listen to these things on, because it really can open your world to music and the nuance and the differences of what you're hearing. But it's been a hell of a ride doing this so far.
Yeah.
We appreciate all the feedback.
Yeah.
If, like I said, call us, let us know what you guys are thinking, what you guys like, what you don't like.
We appreciate the texts.
We do.
We appreciate the reviews people have left, the follows, love it. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I am gonna get stuff up on YouTube. I'm working on iTunes and the Apple Podcast stuff. Sorry that hasn't happened yet, but it will eventually. So the million listeners that are re-listening to this episode on Apple, you'll be confused, but I don't have it up yet. But we will be back very soon. I know there'll be a blank space in between this episode and the next.
Okay.
Hint, hint.
Oh, yes.
You didn't get it, so I had to say hint, hint.
To carry the two.
Listeners probably didn't get it either, but we'll be back soon. We were going to release weekly, but Christmas happened. So it might be a day or two late than the previous one, but we'll be back.
Happy New Year. We'll talk to you soon. Over and out.
Love ya.